Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Shout London titled White Noise. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on Spotify again. Apparently this musician's coming back after a break. They released a lot of tracks between 2013 and 2015, and now they're back with tracks like Someday, Lost in the Dark, and the latest single, White Noise. So we're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. What do we got? White Noise. Ah, nice crispy guitar on that left side. Okay, alright, got a contemporary pop production. It's got that kind of pop punk vibe of the early 2000s, doesn't it? Great voice. Lovely harmonies. Really punchy drum kit tone with those 8 notes. It's very, very busy, but I don't necessarily mind that. I don't think it's the point where the different elements overlap each other too much and make it sort of a little bit too overwhelming, you know? It's a reasonably good balance at this point, which, to be fair, also kind of makes sense with the white noise kind of thing, you know? I like the change of the drum kit here. I think it accentuates that there is a new verse here, maybe a different angle here, switching from the acoustic to the electronic drum kit. It's just a really dope sounding kit as well. Great way to keep engagement with the listener. Really interesting modulation on the vocals. Sort of legato feel to it. Okay, so the first half of the chorus, I don't think I'm getting all the words. This part here, where there's a little bit more sort of clarity with some of the consonants, it's easier for me to understand what's going on. And I think white noise is like getting by. We'll talk about it at the end, but the group chants at the side make it sound bigger and a nice insert as well. Great dynamic range with those guitars on the side. And halftime groove here with the drums, fantastic. I love a little guitar lead line in the center as a sub-lad to the vocal lines. Oh! What I like is that we've actually made room with the double-tracked vocals to allow that lead line in the center. Even though it's not a really dominant element in the mix, it's still a lot clearer because there's been that space allowed in the stereo field for that lead guitar in the center. Not too much, not overplayed, but at the same time it reiterates some of the other vocal melodies. I've got some more to show the world. I'm wondering if those are like synth lines or guitar lines on the side there. It sounds like he might be doing natural harmonics with a bit of a filter on them or something. No, it's a fantastic first impression. And this is the conclusion of my review of White Noise by Shout London. What do I think this track is about? What do I think this track is about? Again, I think it's about someone initially being overwhelmed by the white noise, all the sort of distractions, all the, everything going on in their life, and they're trying to find a way to sort of maintain an authenticity, reach towards what their heart wants, and they're striving to go towards that. I think that's the message here. I think that kind of story will be relatable to a lot of people. I think that'll sort of do well. I think from like a release distribution standpoint, but also just a storytelling perspective, it's something that, it's a smart thing to talk about, I think that the story's good. It was told in a way that was heartfelt. I'm not sure if I got all the words through clearly, but that may just be because I was sort of focusing on a lot of elements there. And I like the fact that we had okay, as if we were trying to sort of like take a step back. I think that was really powerful with some of those lyric choices there, just to kind of clarify where we are in our position and where we're going here. As if we initially get overwhelmed in the first part, and then in the second part, we're like, okay, no, seriously, we need to snap out of this. We need to get back into something more productive, into a direction that I'm more preferential to. So I think that's cool. I think that the vocal performance from Shout London was fantastic. I liked the main leads. There was a nice timbre to the voice, comfortable in that mid-high range there. Really good pitch, especially with guitars, bass, and drums and other elements in there. It just sits there really nicely. I think that his vocal technique was good, comfortable in his head and chest range, and his head and chest voice, should I say. I think that the harmonies as well, when he came in with not only the crowd chants and like the second half of the chorus parts, but also just with the third harmonies we had occasionally just in the chorus sections, they were great too. There was a nice sort of size and presence to them outside of the frequency spectrum niche choice. And it did kind of sound like he was trying to sort of relate to the story he was telling. It was a believable performance. It sounds like something that he's gone through, and it sounds like he's trying to tell us about it. I think that's fantastic. There was some catchy vocal melodies in there. They were really nice and easy to follow along to, and it was distinct. And great way, great balance between the catchiness of the hook line and the need to sort of elaborate in the verses. I think that the structure of the track at 3 minutes is good. It's nearly absolutely in that sweet spot between 2 and 4 minutes. So that was well done and well considered. I feel as if, the combination of different elements you hear, like especially with the intro section there, with like the guitar on the left and then sort of the sound of the wind or the white noise coming up there, was a fantastic choice there. It set the tone really well without needing to be sort of be handheld or strung along by the vocalist there. There's absolutely no sort of paranoia about losing the listener's attention. Partly also because we not only had like a nice sort of easy to follow along to structure with interesting elements scattered throughout, but it was also like there were great texture changes, like for example the drums changing in that second verse there, or the variety of different things being played on those guitar parts, not just from a rhythm and sort of octave chord or harmonic sort of triad perspective, but also the lead line later on that we had was fantastic. The bass was nice and full sounding, and while I think it predominantly stayed within the root notes of the various chords and stuff that we're playing around with, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if the bass had been a little bit too experimental or of interest across the fretboard, then the song would have been detrimental, because you wouldn't have had the tightness of the groove alongside the parts that were being played with those half-time and normal time eighth note kick parts. So that's fantastic. And I think that the drums were fairly minimalist in the sense that obviously the programming wasn't minimalist. There's a lot going on, especially with the electronic drums in that second part. It takes a lot of sort of experience to know exactly where to place the different hits and sounds there to make it constitute a drum beat, you know what I mean? Especially when you're pairing it alongside more sort of analog acoustic drum elements there. I think the balance was struck really well. I think that the grooves and rhythms were interesting. The harmonies there were glorious, and there were lots of major melodies there. We're sticking away from the minors. I don't think we want to have the song be too sad. We want it to be more palatable and sort of almost neutral. There might have even been some sus2 or sus4 chords in there, just simply to allow for a bit more of a kind of an optimistic feel to the song, and that's the general groove I got from this track. There might have been other elements in there like synth lines or like the little harmonics I talked about at the end, but that was sub layers, and I think that most of that was just kind of brightness or Foley perspectives and just to add a bit of heft and size to it. So I think that was great. The recording, mixing and mastering there was fantastic. It was commercial grade. I think the guy's voice was recorded and filtered and EQ'd really well. Now, a bit of modulation on there, but I'm not quite sure what that was. I'd have to sort of think further about it. But that's absolutely fine. It gave it sort of a tone that worked well with some of the more synthetic elements in there. I think that, the guy could clearly sing. I'm wondering if it was like a chorus or something like that. I think that we had a situation where the drums were nicely done as well as the guitars, sort of double tracked on the sides there with interesting panning choices, especially with the guitar at the start. The bass was nice and low and sidechained to the kicks. And yeah, the various lead lines. The guitar, I think, was carved a little bit to make room for some of the voice and to make that a bit more resonant, which was fine. It makes sense to me. I understand why we're doing that. It could be kind of detrimental to the guitars and voice too raw, because they can kind of inhibit. They don't cohabitate, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You know, guitars and vocals occupy similar frequency ranges, so you need to kind of be careful about how you place that. But I think there was a nice balance struck there, especially when the lead came in the center field and then the vocals spread to the sides in that last part. That was a great choice there. The leveling of the various elements in the mix was great. It was nice one in the stereo field, no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. And it was nice and loud without pumping. So overall, I'm very happy with this track from Shout London, White Noise. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than everything with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.